Hello everyone, Namaskar. I am Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh, Associate Professor in the Department of Political Science, Central University of Haryana. And first of all, I would like to thank Human Resource Development Center, JNU, for inviting me to share my ideas on one of the prominent issue which is nowadays we are experiencing in life. It means COVID-19 and pandemic basically. This is pandemic time we are experiencing. We can't go outside of our home because of pandemic. So I'm going to speak on that, how we can deal this problem of pandemic and corona, yeah, COVID-19 actually. So the topic is global health governance and peace building in post-pandemic times. This is what I'm trying to explain today here, like how we are going to deal the problem of COVID-19, because this is something which all the countries are experiencing nowadays. Earlier it was very much concentrated with the health specialists and countries or the state governments, but now that has been changed. Now it has started including not only state governments, but beyond the state, beyond the borders, we are now engaging external powers which are very prominent, which are very important in dealing with the such kind of problems like COVID-19. So this is not the only example we are having with us. This is not only problem. This is not only pandemic we are experiencing nowadays. It has been in past too, but at that time we did not have that kind of mechanism which we are having now in this present era in 21st century. So the question arises here, how we are going to deal with this problem of pandemics which are threatening the human community or humanity across the globe. So in that context, I would say the rise, we can say in 21st century, how the cases is rising globally. Not one. We have example of 2002, while we get SARS with us, that has threatened, that has given us a signal like the age, the time we are going to experience is not good. We are not going to be threatened by conventional weapons or missiles or tanks. Now we are going to be threatened by non-conventional, non-traditional security concerns, which we have started talking about in only 1990s. So this is what we are trying to look into, like how we are going to deal with this problem of pandemic. So in this context, we are having this chikungunya in 2006. I'm just quoting few of the names we have experienced in the last 1 decade, like Zika virus in 2008, like in cholera in 2008, 2009, H1N1 influenza in 2010, like cholera again, measles too in 2010 we experienced, hugely that has spread across the globe. And again, I would like to mention here like 2012 MERS, like Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, that has held in that occurred in 2012. So these, and 2013 was the time, that was the year while we experienced like Zika virus and Ebola, chikungunya again. So in 2015, this Brazil also experienced the same kind of threat. So this is not happening actually first time. This is not only disease we are experiencing with us nowadays. So in last 2 decades, in last 20 years, this is what we are experiencing. This is what we are going through. So the question arises, what kind of mechanism, what kind of governance we are going to have to deal with such kind of problems. In this presentation, definitely I would like to explain that how global health governance can be solution of this problem, how we are going to establish peace building through governance, global governance in this kind of situations, in this kind of pandemics. This is what we are trying to convey here. In next point, I would like to mention here, this is not something which a country is experiencing. This is not something which a country is a region experiencing. This is what occurring across the globe, across the world. Like you can imagine, I have started talking about Brazil, SARS was in China, and MERS was the Middle East. Now this COVID-19 is everywhere in the world. Like all the countries across the globe has been grabbed by this threat of pandemic, COVID-19. So this is what in every corner. This is the problem. This is the global problem. Thus, where's the solution? That is what we have to think about. The solution also lies in global effort. That is what we have to understand. If the problem is global, so the solution should also be global. That is what required. Then the question comes here, what is global health governance? That is what we need to discuss about. This is basically the use of formal, informal institutions, rules, processes which deals with the health problems called basically global health governance, and it includes basically not only state actors, even non-state actors, NGOs too within it. So the debate is, the point is here, like how and what institutions, what mechanisms, what rules, what processes can deal with the problems of health which are impacting our life, which are impacting our day-to-day life pattern. So the question comes here, like we have three different ways to deal with the problem. First, we have to consider this issue as basically a global issue. So we could go to basically global solutions, the first issue, and the second is who are the beneficiaries of health. That is what we have to understand, both in terms of who and what. So who are the beneficiaries? We, it means me and you. We all are basically beneficiary of this global health governance that can give us a lot of things in our hands which can help us to make a basically sustainable and peaceful society. That is what I would say here, that the second basically way. The third way I could say here, though, that is what we are talking about since 1940s, while we started talking about global liberal institutions like United Nations Organization, World Bank, IMF. These kind of institutions came in existence in 1940s. Since then, we have started working in that field. So for this, we have to establish, for this kind of threats and the problems, we have to establish, we are bound to establish basically institutional architecture, global institutional architecture, so that we could deal with such kind of problems. And the thing is that before knowing that, before going to that, I would mention here, I would focus on basically transformation of the concept of basically health and governance that has been transformed in last several years, in last 300-400 years, and how that has been changed. That is what I am going to mention here. The first we have experienced was basically global. Now we are experiencing, not this is the first, but now this is very interconnected kind of concept we have to understand. Earlier we were very much focused for global governance for health. Later we started talking about governance for global health. There are minor differences within it, and now in the 21st century we are talking about global health governance. Means that three different concepts are with us. First, global governance for health. Second, governance for global health. Third, global health governance. Means now it has integrated within it. Earlier, we tried to keep health within governance, but now we are moving ahead. Now we are considering health and governance important component within the concept of globalization. This is what I am trying to convey. In 1990s, we have started talking about globalization. So globalization has impacted our life, every aspect of life. So health component is also part of globalization too. It has started impacting health. But at the same time, we should also understand health is also impacting basically globalization. So this is two-sided game. So we can't say like one side is impacting other side. This is not only, both sides are impacting each other. This is what we have to understand. The question comes here, what kind of dimensions are there this global health governance? Why that is prominent? Why do we need to study? Why do we need to discuss this global health governance? Why we should give priority in our policy making, basically global health governance? Why we should follow basically the concept of global health governance? Why multilateral organizations like UN, WHO, IMF, World Bank are very much focusing on basically global health governance? I am going to explain three different dimensions of that. The first dimension is national and strategic. That's very important, national and strategic. Global health governance is somehow connected with national security and strategic policies. That is what we have to understand. In this realist world, I am talking about realist theory, which is very much prominent in basically international relations, international politics. So in that context, I could say here, like if we are focusing on global health governance, it means at the same time we are talking about, we are thinking about, we are explaining basically security. We can't separate these two concepts if we are going for global health governance, if we are focusing on global health governance, it means we are working for our national security goals, because the concept of national security has been changed in the last few years. As I have already mentioned, in 1990s we have started talking about non-traditional security concerns, which are basically now prominent in this century, because we are considering health as important component, individual security, community security, political security, economic security, environmental security. These kind of concepts are coming to us, which are going to basically threaten basically our national security. That is what we have to understand. That's why I'm insisting, even not only me, other scholars also insist, we should start working all together so that we could cope up with some such kind of threats which are impacting, which has ability to impact basically almost all the countries across the globe. If we are having n number of missiles, advanced technologies, cyberspace are being also occupied by advanced technology, but at the same time I would say that is not the solution. The solution lies in cooperation, solution lies in basically helping to each other, sharing knowledge, sharing information, which is going to be noticed by each and everyone. Like for example, I've already mentioned like COVID-19 pandemic, Ebola, SARS, swine flu. These kind of threats we have experienced in past, and that is not only related with humanity or human beings, that is impacting basically national security concept, which is basically conventionally related with basically military war, but that is not now happening. That has been changed, and that is continuously changing. And the second dimension we could say, like, that is economic. It has economic consideration too. Like all the countries are working closely, and they are very much basically focused about their national interest, which is forced by basically economic considerations. Like all the countries are trying to invest in basically health sector. Why they are investing so much in health sector? Why developed countries are so concerned for this basically health issues? They are trying to help basically least developed countries, developing countries, but at the same time we need to understand they are involved in that because they want to maximize their national interest. They want to gain benefit out of this huge market of health. So that is what happening in insurance market, pharmaceutical. We are example having with us. That is what we could understand. That is what we need to understand. This is second dimension, which is basically forcing countries across the globe to think about global health governance, because that can provide them a best platform to exploit basically this health market. That is what can be done mutually. That is what I am trying to say. Developed countries also can get benefit out of this market, but at the same time they should also start thinking about basically developing countries and least developed countries. That is what need to be done. If they are not doing that, it means they are cheating with basically least developed countries or developing countries. So we can fulfill our national interest priorities by cooperating with each other, by helping each other. That is what we could do. There's another aspect we could consider, we can't ignore, is basically humanitarian. That's basically known as international human rights. That is what we need to understand. There are several philanthropic organizations are there which are helping basically free of cost medicines, free of cost treatment and technologies, health technologies, and they are being providing several kind of other things which are directly impacting human lives. So we can't say whatever countries are doing is only for national security and economic consideration. That will be injustice with them actually. I could say like that is considering basically all these three within it, like security, economic consideration, and at the same time it could be focused on basically humanitarian assistance. That is what countries are doing. For example, SARS breakout in China, at that time we have seen how countries have come forward to basically help China in providing vaccine, in helping China, like HIV/AIDS pandemic that grabbed basically sub-Saharan Africa, and that has taken place, that has done tremendously by basically n number of countries. They started assisting basically African countries in coping, in fighting against basically HIV/AIDS, and the same kind of thing we have experienced during Ebola outbreak and in this COVID-19 situation too. So that is what basically I am trying to say here, like what the structure and participants in this global health governance. I could say like this is very important to understand. We are very ignorant about this fact. What mechanism, what system are there in core? Who is there in core? Who is playing vital role during these kind of pandemics? That is what we need to understand. If you're not trying to understand, it means we are ignoring the most important fact about that, like United States. If I am talking about world order, in present time, to all the students, I usually say, if you want to understand global scenario, we need to basically focus on three important components. The first, global order. If you are studying global order, you are going to read everything, you are going to know everything. At the same time, if you are reading United Nations Organization, it means you are going to understand each and every aspect of global politics. But there is another important aspect which I would like to mention here is basically United States of America, which could basically make us know global politics and global competitiveness, because that is leading the global scenario, global community. That's why we call it unipolar world, which has been led by basically America. At the same time, we can't ignore those institutions which are based in semi-periphery. That is what we need to understand. I am just quoting few of the names here: UNFPA, like ILO, like developed countries. They also, the other countries are also there, like Japan, European countries, and Australia, New Zealand. These kind of countries are also coming forward to help basically global community in such kind of situations. Like UNICEF, that is multilateral organization that's also playing vital role during this pandemic era. WTO, developing countries, like developing countries. Why I am asking here developing countries? That is what we need to understand, because countries like India belong which group? Developed or developing? We are developing countries, but at the same time we are having both features with us, like the features of developed countries, the features of developing countries too, or least developed countries. I could say here least developed countries. So while we start talking about the world's most poorest population. So the point is here I was talking about developing countries. While I was talking about developing countries, I was talking about India, because India has played a very prominent role during COVID-19, and not this is first time India is doing this kind of work. India has done this kind of work in 1990s too, while we experienced basically plague. At that time, a lot of people flew from basically Surat to different part of India. So at that time, India experienced severe economic crisis. At that time, our economy, our GDP declined because of this kind of pandemic. So India get prepared for such kind of threats. I could say, I'm not saying like India has done what required, but at the same time I could say, while we start comparing with other developing countries, I could say India has done tremendous job. In the years to come, I am going to say here with full confidence, India is going to have one of the strongest health system in the world, which is going to provide basically solution to global community. Even in this COVID-19 era, India has helped almost 200 countries in different forms. So I could say, being a developing country, India is also playing a very vital role in basically this global health governance structure. And at the same time, I could say here, that is also important, we should note to understand, like core, that is basically United States, United Nations Organization, WHO, World Bank, but at the same time in semi-periphery, like other developed countries, developing countries, UNFPA means the allied institutions are basically United Nations Organization or multilateral organizations. But at the same time, I could say that another important component we don't need to ignore basically is, periphery, which includes a number of actors within it, like individuals plays important role within it, like Serum Institute of India that has shown a very positive hope the global community, they can fight with this COVID-19. These kind of efforts are being going on in every corner of the world, like Chinese individuals are helping, and they are playing a vital role. They are researching how to cope with such kind of threats, pandemic, this how to cope basically such kind of pandemics, such kind of threats. That is what happening. And social movements, that is what taking place across the globe for basically these kind of efforts. Like religious groups, they are also playing a vital role during pandemics. NGOs, media, epistemic communities, research, institutions, TNCs, transnational companies, they are playing vital role in basically fighting with basically pandemics or these kind of threats. This is what I am trying to say here, like this is effort of whole, this is effort of all. That is what I am trying to convey here, I am trying to say here, this is integrated effort, this is all together effort. If we are going to do, we will be able to basically achieve our goal. Like then the question comes here, what is peace building? And the term peace building was coined basically in 1992 by basically Boutros Ghali. He was basically UN Secretary General at that time. While he started talking about basically agenda for peace, he was the one who focused, he tried to keep basically agenda for peace in center, in core, so that we could cope up with such kind of problems. How the solution, the question arises at the time, the solution can be found only in the raising that how. That question is important to understand. That he said reconciliation and institution building can help us in basically establishing a stable and peaceful community, and that can be done with the effort of n number of actors, which includes what I have already discussed in few minutes back. So that is what I am trying to say. This is what can be done in the name of peace building, and that is what already being done. So global health governance as a dimension of peace building also arising. What is peace building? Why do we need to go into that? Pandemics creates chaos in society. Pandemic disrupts economic order of any country. Pandemic threats national security of countries. So the problem is very clear. So for that, we need to understand peace building can be done only through this global health governance efforts. And while I am focusing on this global health governance, I am very sure, and this is not only solution, but this is one of the important solutions. This is what we need to consider, this is what we need to understand. If we are going to focus on that, definitely we will be able to address these kind of problems. So this is what I am trying to say here, like the question arises here, when and how the health and peace has interconnecting with each other, and that is what we need to understand, that is what we need to focus on. How health can be associated with peace? This question comes in our mind. So the thing is that how we are going to reply that question. Violence and the pandemics, basically what I am talking about, pandemics. Pandemics destruct basically oftenly targets what? Health infrastructure, like India has experienced. Our health sector was almost collapsed, not only India, I am talking about Germany, I am talking about Italy, I am talking about America. These countries, health infrastructure collapsed almost because of COVID-19. They were not able to address the problem of COVID-19. Even Italy government was, Prime Minister of Italy has declared in Parliament like we are unable to address this problem. So this is what kind of experiences we are having with us. So the question arises here, what about those countries which are not having enough health workers, enough hospitals, enough infrastructure? So the question is, we can do only through cooperation in such cases, in such situations. If we are doing that, we will be able to address these kind of problems, leading to what can be done in these cases, leading to capacity loss. We are going to lose if not cooperating, departure of health workers, this is what we have been experiencing, and breakdown of water and sanitation systems, food shortages, erosion of the state's ability to prevent and treat diseases. There are so many things are there. So this is what I am trying to say here. Like then what health peace initiative that took place long way back basically while the global community has started talking about health peace initiative, means we need to link these two terms, health and peace. And for that, n number of social workers, NGOs, civil society organizations, they started speaking for health peace initiatives, so that we could cope up with such kind of threats, such kind of pandemics. How that can be done? That is what the question arises at that time, and following elements they have described for that, like communication of knowledge that can be done, evocation and broadening of altruism. This is what very important concept we have to understand. What is altruism? Means helping each other. That is what called basically altruism. Extension of solidarity and strengthening of communities, non-cooperation and dissent, diplomacy. This is what we are doing nowadays. We are very much we are listening medical diplomacy. Earlier we were not knowing that concept, but that has emerged as one of the important component of soft power policies of global community. Like US is doing that, China is doing that, Japan is doing that, European Union is doing that, now India is also doing that. Why India can't? India should also do that, and India has started doing that. India has started following same path which are being introduced by developed countries. So redefinition of situation and mediation, these kind of work can be done under this health peace initiative. That is what going on across the globe. So this is what I am trying to convey here. This is what I am trying to say here, like confidence building measures. This is what another important component we have to understand. That's important part of this entire debate, this entire discussion that comes within this global health governance. Global health governance focuses on those elements which promotes, which talks about confidence building measures. Means what confidence building measures can be, that can be several things. I am just going to read for you 2-3 important points. The first, meeting the immediate health needs of pandemic affected populations, that can be done. Second point, restoring essential health services, that can be done. Rehabilitating the health system, that can be done to cope up with the problem of basically this pandemic. Within this, there's another important aspect we have to focus on that, and that is what being ignored by global community. I'm not talking about almost all the countries, because developed countries are working very closely and very tirelessly on that. That is basically water and waste management. That is what important component, and that is what kept in core basically of this global health governance effort. And medical capacity, that should be increased across the globe, not only in basically least developed countries and developing countries, but also in basically developed countries too. They are also required to work in that field. Prevention of epidemics, that is what can be done. If we are working together, definitely we could be in better position to cope up with such kind of problems. Like I'm going to quote one important policy of WHO, that's known as International Health Regulation IHR, which was being amended in 2005, which clearly talks about cooperation. If we want to prevent these kind of pandemics, we need to work together. If we are not doing that, we'll never be able to address such kind of problems. What is happening in the case of COVID-19? China was the country which tried to keep information confidential. They never wanted to share the information regarding this COVID-19, and what they are doing till now, even WHO team visited there and they refused them to come into basically China. These kind of things are happening, and these kind of things to be controlled. If we are going to do that, we will be able to address such kind of problem. This is what being done. Health education, this is important question we have to understand. Like we are trying to make people understand how that is going to threat their life. These in India, I am going to talk about, like a lot of people are not wearing this mask. They're not using sanitization, and they're not cleaning their hands. These kind of things are happening. At the same time, why they're not doing that? Because they're not being educated in basically health education. That should be given, at least basic health education should be given to every citizen of the country, so that they could be aware, they should be in the position to keep themselves safe during these kind of pandemics. And there's another important point I'm going to mention, WHO, that is playing vital role. Even such kind of threats whenever we are experiencing, WHO plays important role basically. Sixth, health system building blocks are there of basically WHO, which are in core of IHR 2. I am going to read that for you. Is service delivery. That is what the important component of basically WHO's 6 building blocks. And the second is health workforce, that is what being supported by WHO. Health information system that should be developed in almost every country in the world, that is what being urged by WHO to be there in almost all member states of WHO. Access to essential medicines, that is what I am going to mention one important name, might be knowing that, might be you're hearing that nowadays, is COVAX. That's very important effort given by basically WHO. Under that mission, what WHO is doing, WHO providing basically vaccine to basically those countries which are not able to buy basically vaccine, which are not able to pay for that. So in that case, WHO is providing them vaccine free of cost. This kind of effort is being done by basically WHO in past two. Financing, that is what WHO is doing. Leadership and governance, this is also important component of WHO's build 6 blocks. So the thing is that is what we have to understand is basically I'm moving a bit ahead because this COVID-19 situation. This is I'm going to pick a case so that we could understand the entire scenario in easier way. COVID-19 has disrupted not only basically countries but also to global governance, but also to global community, but also to globalization process. So the solution, the issue here we have realized is like we need to work together to control such kind of problems. Now flights were being halted for longer time. Economic disruptions we have experienced in every corner of the world, but at the same time we were agreed to share information. We were agreed to feel the heat of the threat or the heat of the pandemics. So this is what we need to understand, and this is what happening. This IHR of WHO, under this IHR of WHO during this COVID-19, WHO mentioned 3-4 important components, 3-4 important points. I am going to mention here: prevent, protect against, controlled and provide. This is what WHO is trying to do during this COVID-19 pandemic. And if I come to basically UN comprehensive response to COVID-19, I could mention 3 different points. This is what we are having with us is delivery of large scale, coordinated and comprehensive health response. This is what being done. The second, WHO is doing adoption of policies, address the devastating socio-economic, humanitarian and human rights aspects of crisis. And the last important component is recovery process that builds back better. This is what being done by WHO in past, and this is what being going on even during this period too. Issues faced by global health governance. This is what we need to understand. This is what we need to focus on basically. What issues need to be kept in center of this global health governance during this kind of situation of pandemic. Nationalist government. This is important. I'm talking about because this is what we are experiencing. Like Donald Trump, I'm quoting here. He was the one who decided to withdraw from WHO during this pandemic. These kind of efforts are demoralizing the human community, demoralizing the multilateral organizations. These kind of actions and policies or statements should be ignored during these kind of times. So nationalist government, that is important component. We need to make them feel. They should basically focus on this, and I could there's several other issues are there, but I'm just jumping to next issue that's also important is USA is playing a vital role, but during this COVID-19 we have experienced at that time who was president of US. Everyone is aware about that was basically Donald Trump, and he was the one who tried to withdraw from every corner of the world. He said if we are keeping ourselves in isolation, we are going to maximize our national interest, but that is not true. That is going to them feel that is not going to help them, that is not going to help them in basically maximizing their national interest. That's why the new president of US, Joe Biden, has declared again to come into basically almost all the activities, all agreements and treaties, global treaties of world, and he has again started going into basically all summits, meetings which are being held in last 2-3 months. And this is what I'm trying to say. There's another important point I would like to mention is India's role during this global health governance. This is what, if you are not talking about, it means this entire topic, the entire lecture will be incomplete. During this time, India's role in peace building in post-pandemic times, we could say India has played a very vital role and very sincere and very accountable role India has played. While this issue of pandemic, means COVID-19 I'm talking about, the issue came in front of us, what we did realized, we realized like it is going to make our life like hell. But government of India was the one who has played important role not only in saving our own people but at the same time the global community. It has started providing basically n number of things to global community, which can be determined, which can be segmented, which can be divided in different parts. Like India has assisted a small group of countries on basis of humanitarian efforts, but it has assisted a good number of countries for strategic and security reasons. And at the same time, I could say India has also focused on its one of the important component that's known as economic considerations too. That is what we have done. And there is another important point, how we have provided, how we have helped global community. I am going to explain that, like hand sanitizers, forehead sensors, PPE kits, these surgical masks, anti-malaria drugs, HCQ, that is very much known to us nowadays. Even everyone is knowing that. What is HCQ? That is important malaria drug which has been given basically to almost all the countries across the globe. Even those countries which have requested, even those countries which have not requested to India, India has sent them this important medicine during this COVID-19. So India has always tried to contain such kind of threats, always tried to stop such kind of threats. This is what India have done. The first meeting India government called was basically SAARC. India invited almost all the neighboring countries to sit together to cope up with this problem of COVID-19. And what India did, India supported to basically create a COVID-19 emergency fund, in which India has given more than $10 million basically to contain this coronavirus. And at the same time, India is helping in different forms to other countries. I am going to few lines here, like India is providing this medicine, Covaxin, we are listening, Covishield, these kind of vaccines we are providing basically global community. More than 50 countries are also now already being assisted by India, already being given by India to contain basically this spread of COVID-19. So this is example. I am just concluding it by saying India's companies, philanthropic companies, India's TNCs, India government all together working to contain such threats like Bharat Biotech, Serum Institute, Zydus Cadila, Panacea Biotech and Indian immunologists, Vax Biological E. These kind of companies are playing vital role in containing basically the threat of pandemics, and it has become one of the important and component of global health governance, so that in global community live in basically in a very peaceful environment, in a healthy environment, in a happy environment. In conclusion, I am going to say here what we need to do is disease surveillance, disease prevention, health services, health information systems, supply chain management, human resources for health, monitoring and evaluation. If we could do that, we will be able to contain the problems like SARS, swine flu, Chagas, COVID-19. Finally, I could say, this is the last line of this presentation, I could say we have to work together for freedom from diseases, not only from freedom from fear, freedom from want. This is what I could say. With these words, I would like to stop here. Thank you all. Thanks a lot.